I just dropped on myself.
You just crushed yourself with your own weights.
Welcome to the podcast. Didn't
Hello.
expect Andrew to be here, or Apex.
I'm
So
stuck.
if you
No.
see, if you're on the video version, literally a piece of ginger. So we're gonna fix that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. Welcome, Andrew. Welcome,
Hello.
Felix. Welcome, Dave. Back to
Yeah.
Competent Podcast, Comedy Gamer
Mhm.
Podcast. We're episode 6 now. No pain, no gain. This topic is
Ooh.
injuries, out or anything like that. As trying to hurt himself by doing stupid stuff with weights. Throws it on his bed. Okay.
He drops it, falls on his neck, his back brace
I really
falls
hope I
off, the
don't drop it
chair
because I have a
falls
wooden
Yeah.
over.
floor in my room.
You can no pain, no gain. Just
His
lifting
keyboard.
weights during our podcast.
Fucking don't ever
Yeah.
compare me
Yeah,
to
I
that
know. Don't let's
fucking
not get
Yeah.
piece of human
yeah,
trash.
let's not talk about that dog shit individual.
Ooh, ooh.
I'm gonna throw up.
Well, let's get the ball rolling. What are the worst injuries y'all ever acquired? Or some of the most notable in your
Hmm.
I have one that might make you guys cringe, but I'll wait to hear your guys's.
I've got a fun one.
Yeah, let's go.
One time when I was a kid, we always had this cul-de-sac that we rode around the town in, and it was like maybe 2 by 2 houses, so it's like a little 4-house block, but it was like 3 blocks down. So there's there's 3 2 by 2 house blocks, and we always rode our bikes and we always did races around them. One tiny lap around the 4 blocks was like 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, or the Grand Prix was like all the way around all the houses. Anyway, one summer we decided to have this Grand Prix race, right? Everybody starts pedaling really, really hard. Everyone tries to get a big lead. I try to get ahead of everybody, so I'm pedaling like extra, extra, extra hard. And keep in mind, it's been hot for the whole summer. It's probably 100 degrees out. The road, if you
Summer.
like put a temperature gauge like on the road, the concrete, the black tar was fresh paved. It was probably, I want to say, a good 90 degrees. As we're pedaling down, my chain snaps on my bike and it slips off right on the right side of me, and I go flying down right on my right knee for about 6 feet,
Ooh.
going at probably 30 or 40 on
Yeah,
my bike. I was hauling, and I slid that whole distance on one knee. And the funniest part about it is I got up and just walked away. I walked straight to the house, and then I started crying. I was like, Mom,
Mommy, it
something
hurts.
happened.
Mom.
I had so much adrenaline from that race and from that incident that I was just walking and just like, Mom, something
Mom,
happened. And they're like, what's going on? And my whole knee, from kneecap to ankle, was scraped to death. And everywhere around the top of my kneecap was white. Like, I tore it down to tendons and muscle.
Yeah, so in case I didn't say this before, we're talking about injuries. If you're squeamish
Yeah.
to anything that is horrific, gory, or just kind of cringe, and
Spoiler
blood and all
warning.
that stuff, just
There was
be
no blood.
mindful. This podcast might not be for you today. We'll see you in the next one. I had to click off, but you like to listen to this masochist. Welcome.
No, yeah, no blood, no nothing, no screams. But it was the second a piece of alcohol, like embedded tissue,
oh
touched
yeah.
that fiber.
Mhm.
Oh, that's when all the nerves were like, oh yeah, by the way.
Your knees, God.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ugh. Oh man, that sucks. Just
It's
cheese
painful. I
grating
hate
on
when
the
it's
ground.
white like that because you know that it's skin that's not supposed to be outside of your body.
No,
Yeah.
you see, that wasn't skin because I didn't feel anything.
Trust me, it
totally
wasn't
get it.
bone.
It wasn't bone. No, it was down to tissue, at least.
Yeah, it's still skin.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
I still have
Actually,
a scab somewhere, but it was from such a long time ago that it's so small now.
I actually have a somewhat similar incident with longboarding, actually. Like where I had almost the exact same thing, except for like how the injury worked. just because I was wearing jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm.
I was going down, I was bombing one of the hills on my longboard because speed, awesome. And
Always.
also because I was in the process of chasing my brother and one of our other neighborhood friends for whatever reason. Like not like I was gonna beat their ass or anything. Like I don't remember why I was chasing them, but I was basically following them. And I bombed this hill to follow them and like take a shortcut. But um when I got to the bottom of the hill, when I have my max speed, I see a pothole, and I'm
Oh
like,
no.
"Oh!" And there was no way I could turn like in time to like uh, avoid it. And thinking about it now, I probably should have just like turned directly into the grass and fell there. But my dumbass brain, because I was only like 15 or 16, was not thinking like that yet. So I was just in the mindset of, oh damn, this is happening. Okay.
This
So
is the end.
Here we
I
go.
just I just let myself hit the pothole and I fly off. And like
Ooh.
and I didn't really like
Uh,
drag or anything. I didn't like hit anything like super vital or break anything, but like one of the rocks that was in the road had had blasted right through my jeans, like made a hole and like got stuck in my leg. And I did get up. I did also
That's
just get up and like walk home, but I did not just get up and walk. I was up and walking and screaming a bunch of obscenities throughout my neighborhood just because like I did not care because there was a rock in my leg. I was like, ah, fuck, 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 just like screaming it through the
ooh.
neighborhood. And I get in the house and I'm still screaming it. And I'm just like figuring out what to do with my leg. And I'm like,
Oof.
I
Yeah,
didn't need a hospital, but I was fine. But it was
Right.
just like,
I
damn,
hurt like a
bro.
bitch.
Oh yeah.
yeah, fucking rock.
that's no good. No, of course not. It's like, oh yeah, that's supposed to
Oh,
be there.
I would never swear after having a rock shoved in my.
Oh, good heavens.
Yeah.
Madam,
Good
what
heavens.
a look at thy knee. It appears to be a rock in my cavities.
Well,
Mother,
Mm.
fetch me the brown pants.
I don't know. Okay, so Felix, you said you have one that's like pretty bad that you kind of be.
It's not gory, but it might make you guys like be like, what the fuck a bit.
Okay, because I got one that's pretty hefty too, but I might say that. I want to go real quick.
So I have a ball of cartilage in my chest and a hole in my ribs.
Oh,
No.
Mm.
No,
What do you think?
What?
Oh yeah, here, you guys check this out.
yeah, no, I just no, so right up near my right here on my sternum, I have a huge ball of cartilage, just a little bit smaller than the size of my fist. And what happened was I was actually bombing a hill in Butte on my bike. And I started to lose control of the bike handles halfway down. And when I lost control, I just fucking I wrecked and I started tumbling with the bike, and the handle for the bike went straight into my ribs and pushed them apart, and they never moved back. And now because of that, it pushed so much cartilage up into my chest cavity that I just have a huge ass ball of cartilage sitting there all the time.
Ooh,
ooh, no.
I could not
that's not
breathe
okay.
for a good 30 seconds.
Ooh,
Thought it was only 30
yikes.
seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds
I've
is...
been hurt way more. I was a dumbass kid.
I barely hold my breath underwater for 30 seconds, man.
And then something I'm probably gonna show you guys when I get to
That sounds
Washington.
bad.
So like my jaw
Mhm.
is also not aligned anymore because when I was a kid, some dickhead decided to throw a baseball at my head and hit me right in the jaw. And so now when I like open it, it kind of snaps to the side a bit if I open it all the way.
Ooh, I
Brave.
watched something like that
Right?
happen at a baseball game once.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Ball went straight beneath the cap, hit him dead center, like right here.
And that's not even all of my injuries.
No, what?
Um,
Don't you have like 70 scars?
Way more than that, dude. I have so many scars on my body.
I think we learned from these last two stories. Do not bomb hill. Like I know it might be fun in the moment. The
Oh
moment you
no,
wipe
no,
out,
bomb hills.
you are
fun.
Bomb
fucked.
hills.
You're
Bomb
fucked.
hills.
Yeah, bomb hills
Bomb
Bro, I
until,
hills.
didn't.
until you lose every
Bro,
car you
I
have
If
on.
ain't
you are
Go
learned my.
fast, sled
if you don't have an
fast.
issue with the consequences, it is totally worth it.
Yeah, bro. Even after that, I did not learn my lesson. In fact,
No, me neither.
I took the lesson, threw it in the trash, and then like smoked crack is like the equivalent because like now because
Don't smoke
now
crack,
I'll
kids. Please don't smoke crack.
well, yeah, that's it's
Do
just
it.
it's just
Do it.
metaphor of crack. But like now, like I'll still bomb hills on my longboard,
Yeah.
but I'll do it like on our busiest street
Or
downtown.
you'll make sure you know. Oh
Oh.
fuck.
Yeah,
Dude,
the only like major hill we had near us, it was like a 30. It's like a 20 to 30 degree incline. That's not that big. That's not that big at all. And then immediately at the last 10 feet, shifts down to like a 45. So it's like,
Oh.
so you gain all this fucking speed. Yeah, it's like this really shitty design.
What?
No, how it is, it's like this neighborhood, like always on
That's
a.
45.
Yeah,
Like what?
no. It's this neighborhood that's on a slope. And it's like a slight downward climb or decline about 20 to 30. And at the very end, there's like this part where it just goes like straight down, like ramp that goes to like this little park area that's been removed. Hazard to get to it, they just removed the park. And it's just this really quick slope. And it's like 45 fucking degrees. It's like it was supposed to be like not a staircase rather than just like a
Mm.
ramp, which is like the dumbest shit. And so people would
Badass
bomb
ramp.
it. And the thing is, you like that the whole like 20 30th like degree build up to
Mhm.
that 45 degrees is like 200 feet. And then
Oof.
after that 45 degree, you have like 30 feet to stop before you hit a bunch of trees.
Ooh.
Because like
Ooh.
I when we're down here, I can show you it. It's
Mhm.
fucking bad. But
I want to
we
hit it
we
on my
we
longboard.
would bomb it with our bikes. And you would have to like immediately slam on your brakes. My buddy went straight down, didn't realize like how little time he had to brake, and then just slammed straight into a tree. And then there's a main
No.
road behind the tree, like behind
That's
that line of
terrible.
trees, like a little green belt kind of thing.
Yeah.
And his bike shot off into a main road.
Speaking of slamming into trees, just the other day, actually,
It was
Billings had a dude going full speed slam into a tree and die
fucking.
on his motorcycle.
Wow.
I had a major car crash next, wrapped around,
You.
literally
So
broke.
all in favor of just removing trees from the road. How about that? You know, it might just be a good idea.
No,
How about
dude,
we just remove trees from Earth, make a safer
Yeah,
planet?
the
put them
dude.
on Mars.
You ever
Give them
you
to
ever seen
Elon.
those
I don't know. See what
videos?
he'll do with it.
You ever seen those pictures or videos when like a car crash has like a pole or a telephone pole literally sticking into it, like from the
Yep.
top
Yeah.
down? Yeah, the dude broke it. It shot upwards, but the tension of the cords snapped it back straight down onto the. So it looked like this car was
Ooh.
impaled by the thing, but he snapped it in half, but the tension cords kept it in place enough where it went up and then back down.
Oof.
That sucks.
Don't
It-
say car accidents with cables tensioning and pulling on things. 'Cause it just makes me think of Final
Oh,
Destination where the cables just cut
oh,
straight through the car.
Right,
oh,
Ugh.
man.
fucking-
Ugh.
um,
See, that's the fun thing I think people would enjoy one wheel a little bit more about, but also I also now also hate is because it will limit the amount of speed that you can put at and it limits the angles that you're at. So the second you hit a downward
Mhm.
angle, it tilts the board back a little bit so that way it slows you down.
It's dumb. I hate
I
things that
know.
regulate what you're allowed to do.
I
Fucking
know.
government.
It's
Fuck a government,
fuck the
bro.
government. Welcome to the Injuries podcast where we fuck the government. Fuck these guys.
Yeah,
man. Everyone hates the
exactly.
government. We'll
Speaking of
always-
next year, what's the injury you were talking about, Ken?
yeah.
So it's not. No, it's pretty bad. I should have. I probably would have had tetanus. I should have had tetanus. I definitely should have.
Oh, there's
Why?
another one you just made me think of. Anyway, keep
I
going.
don't know why I didn't. So me and my brother, after my 12th birthday, I know this is gonna sound like some pampered shit. This is the only time I ever went to a cruise for
Mhm.
Disney cruise. 12. It was not the best. I honestly, not one to sit around and do. They don't go on a fucking cruise.
Yeah.
But we went on this cruise and we learned this game where it's like bocce ball or
Game.
like
Oh,
Bocce ball.
or something where like you smack the ball with your hands, but if it hits you, you can't like pick the
Yep,
ball up. Like you
yep,
have to like
yep.
stay on the ground. You gotta yeah.
Oh,
I think you know that
Bro,
heard
because
that
you're a
game,
scout, right?
yeah, bro, that
Yeah.
game goes hardcore.
It goes
Like
really
it
you
goes
fucking
can get,
hardcore.
hardcore.
you
Yeah.
can, you can get, you
Whoa.
can go fucking nuts playing that shit.
Yeah. It's basically it's like a giant circle. Everyone's in it, and there's a ball, and you have to keep it roughly on the ground, or at least like 2 inches off the ground at most. You have to smack it with your hands only. If it hits your feet, you're out. You're basically trying to hit the ball into other people's feet without picking it up and throwing it. You just have to
Okay,
smack it. You can't pick it up at all. You can only bop it.
right.
Yeah.
Bop it.
And well, for some reason, my brother had a really fucking disgusting. My brother like did not back. There's shit everywhere.
Right.
And we had this fucking shitty yellow soccer, like inflatable soccer ball we got from like arcade guys.
Mhm.
We were like, oh, let's play fucking basketball or whatever the fuck. We're like
In the middle of his room.
It was like there's no space. It's dirty as shit. There's clothes everywhere, and we're bopping
You're-
this thing around. And what we had not realized was my mom had bought my mom bought my brother like this bicycle handle, um, like coat hanger with two giant metal screws. You'd screw into the
Ooh.
drywall, not into a fucking um stud, into the drywall,
Or
and
into
Just
the
into the
drywall.
yeah,
drywall.
and eventually
Oh
it
my
had ripped
god.
out at some point because I don't know when this happened. I just remember always seeing my brother with two fucking holes and the drywall ripped out. I think my brother tried to put a coat on it and ripped it out. So
Jesus.
instead of my mom being like, okay, this dangerous thing, let's take it out of his room. She put it
Right.
screws facing up on one of his stools in the corner.
Oh my god. What?
In the corner. It was just on a stool in the corner, and we were playing around. Your feet are being stuck. Like our tiny ass feet were basically like stuck in all these clothes. Like my brother had a really bad room. We were bopping this
Yeah.
ball around, and he hits the ball, and it goes up a little bit because it's inflatable. It has a little lift to it. So I try and reach back to grab it, upwards back. I lose my footing, and I fall backwards over this stool.
Oh.
I still have this, both of them. These two fucking screws impaled deep in my left fucking calf. I have this
Ooh.
huge fucking scar of like one that actually went into my tissue. And then the other one just grazed enough of my skin to leave like a slight scar on the side. So it's like a two
Yeah.
Right.
pronged thing. And I didn't feel it. I couldn't feel it at all. I mean, I don't know if it was adrenaline mixed with just the fear factor of falling backwards on your head kind of thing. Like the safety mechanism kick in. No, I just
Right.
couldn't
Yeah.
feel it, and I'm like, huh, that was weird. And
Adrenaline, probably.
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
stand
Same
up.
when I'm like walking back with a bloodied gush up me, like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mom,
yeah.
Mom,
I
something's
stand
wrong.
up and I look, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, what's that feeling? I thought I thought I slept. I feel like I felt something wet, and I looked down, and my leg in blood.
Bleeding.
And I'm like, huh. And my brother starts crying because he's older than me. He's by 2 years. He's like, I'm so fucking dead. Like he knows he is fucked. Like he's like, and then his first things are like, don't tell mom, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. I'm like,
It's always don't tell
and I'm
Mom.
like,
Yeah.
I don't feel any pain. I was just kind of like in a moment of like, okay, I won't tell mom. Because like and after like he started freaking out, I'm like, oh shit, she'll be mad at me too. So I can't tell mom because then we'll both be in trouble. So we go over to the
Mhm.
bathroom.
Trouble.
Go over to the bathroom. We clean, like we wipe up this shit with wet,
Right.
and now I have this giant gap. We held my leg together, and we took giant ass like patch bandage, have like on
Oh
a
my
straight knee,
god.
and we held it together like stitches on, like not
Oh.
literally just using bandages, just using bandages, and so we did that, and so I had like four, so we did small ones first, and then we did the big patch bandage, hide the massive fucking scar or just gash in my leg, and I walked around with using jeans for a while, and then I eventually went to school with sports, and like a week after,
Right.
someone knew I'd gone to a cruise. What happened on your cruise? I'm like, and I was too afraid to say, oh, I hurt myself. I was like, oh, I got bit by a shark.
Jesus fucking
And like
Christ.
I had not looked at it yet, and I peeled back the bandages. It was horrific. I mean, it was the worst stab. Like I'm shocked I didn't get
Oof.
infected. I'm shocked I didn't
Right.
permanent damage there. It's.
Jeez.
I mean, oh man, the scar is.
So like,
Oh, I wish I could show you a picture of that thing, but it was. Those screws were massive.
Yeah.
not to throw any shade or anything, but doesn't your mom own a construction company?
Landscaping.
Landscaping. Okay, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah, no, but she acts. I love my mother. I love my mother. Gonna put that out there. She
Clarify.
she acts
Put that out
smarter
there.
than
Love you,
she
mom.
is
But
sometimes. And like so she'll be like, "Oh, I've got this." Then she does something and she fucks up. It's like then she gets upset that it didn't work. Like you realize you
right.
did it.
Yeah.
So like but yeah,
Ooh.
that was how that was. I remember only like 2 years ago or 2.5 years. Not even like probably 2 years ago. I was like, "Hey, by the way, you see this giant scar on my leg?" Like, oh, when did that happen? I'm like, oh yeah. So when I was
So here's this.
12, me and Michael like we kind of fucked up my leg and we pulled together bandages and she was like on a fucking tirade and she's like, well, there's nothing I can do now, but fuck. Yeah, no, that was great. I just kind of came. Oh yeah, I have this on my leg. Never knew of it.
Gosh.
Like, oh my god, people think I'm a horrible mother. I'm like,
He was like,
yes,
yeah, they do.
Jeez.
You know
why
what
would
your
you? I'm sorry,
story
but why
reminded
would
me
you
of?
leave two massive fucking drywall screws? Like, I mean, they were like 3 inches.
Right.
Just sitting up on a fucking chair in a kid's room. I can't imagine.
Because you can.
Gosh. Dude.
Okay, sorry, you're saying something.
What?
That's just something else. I was just saying, you just reminded me of another story of my dumbassery.
Go on. Go on.
So, because you talked about tetanus, and it made me think of all the
Oh,
times I've
great.
had metal in my, in and on my body.
Oh, here we go.
This one's not too bad, but let me see if I can get it on camera. So I have a scar on my wrist, like right kind of up here. It's a lot smaller than it used to be, but so I was camping with some family a while ago. It was like 2015, I think, and I had this knife that I was carrying on my hip in case like there was any need for me to use it. And I just bought this knife from the knife shop in Butte for like $30, but it was sharp as hell. And I noticed it was sharp because I could glide it across paper. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna do what they do in the movies, and I can shave with this. And so I didn't do it with my face, obviously,
Oh.
because it's on my wrist. But I was like, while we were walking, I was shaving the hair on my arm, and I was like, this is so fucking cool. And then I took a misstep, and it immediately went into my wrist a bit. And I was like, fuck. And I pulled it out. And we were hiking at the moment from the campsite. So everyone was walking in front of me. And I just had to like hide it. And I put my knife away and I
Like a
wiped the blood off
zombie
of it.
bite. You're
So I
like,
was holding,
I'm
yeah,
good, guys.
I'm okay. But it's like I was hiding it kind of for everyone. And then we walked through, there are a lot of barbed wire, just like little fences obviously for cattle and stuff all around Montana.
Oh yeah.
And we were just going through those, and we like spread them apart and walked through them and everything like that. So I made up the story that when we were doing that, I had accidentally cut my arm on the barbed wire, which was really rusted. So everyone started freaking the fuck out. Like, that is not okay. Those things are like nothing but rust. And they were like cleaning it with everything. I was fine because I have a really high pain tolerance. Like, I don't know if you guys know, when we go to the Ren Fair, if I get hurt at all, you'll notice I don't flinch at
No.
pain. Do it. Do it. I've been punched in the face plenty of times.
Oh, well, we will be doing
But yeah,
version
I
2 of
just
that arm wrestling contest.
Oh, fuck
dude,
yeah.
you guys have been working out, and I've no. You guys can go.
I've
Are
been.
you
I'm
ready
not
for
gonna.
this?
I'm not gonna win.
But yeah, I just have a big ass scar on my wrist now from being a dumbass, and everyone I was with on that day I lied to.
Hmm. What's the most recent that you've gotten?
I actually have some in that
Oh,
sort of situation too,
Hold
where
that thought,
everybody.
Dave. Hold that thought, Dave. Before we do that,
Uh,
we're just hitting our trivia time. After
Oh
Dave,
yeah.
you'll continue where you are. We're gonna do our trivia real
yeah.
quick, and then Dave will pick up. So, trivia. First trivia we're gonna have
hmm
today. How many more bones do men break on average compared to so 1, 30% more, 2, 40% more, 350.
50.
I want
Dave's
to say
going for
40.
Dave's going for 50. This is going for 40.
I'll do 30.
Edge is going for 30. So we got a clean
Only 30?
spread.
You really
for
think
once.
only 30 though?
I'm not saying anything.
We got a clean spread here. So 30, 40, 50. How many more bones do men break on average compared to women? Men break 30% more bones than women between
Really?
birth and the age of 65.
Andrew knew this already somehow.
Maybe.
That's
Because
why
he's a
I
woman, isn't it?
What?
Oh no.
What?
I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
But
What did you just say?
apparently we're only slightly more stupid.
Huh.
Actually,
Slightly.
something though. Apparently, when you get older in age, women break bones because they have a higher chance of
Fair.
bone density. But that
That's fair.
I don't really agree with like that being in this statistic. 'Cause I feel like obviously, yeah, that happens, but
Just
it's not
yeah.
because of their fault. It's genetically like at fault.
Right.
But I feel like the 30% more of guys breaking their bones is the shit that we're talking about.
Probably.
Oh man, that's why our car
Oh,
insurance
that
is so
that
expensive.
reminds me of after Dave, that reminds me of a fun fact about how I broke my foot.
Okay, well
Yeah.
let's go with Dave and then we'll see about that.
Yeah, go
broken
ahead,
foot.
Dave.
So you know how you were talking about basically like everybody thought that it was like one way that you broke your shit, but that is not how it worked. Well, not broke, but you know what I mean.
I cut my
Yeah.
arm open, yeah.
Yeah. So so I had a similar kind of thing where I was doing something dumb or
Yeah.
at least just wasn't thinking and hurt myself. I was on a Boy Scout trip and we were like out at this cabin, like and it was like a winter camp out. At that point, we were just kind of like messing around just because like there wasn't anything to do, so we were just playing board games in the
Yeah.
cabin. We were playing Risk.
Ooh.
And I remember I don't remember how long we'd been playing it for, but like whenever we were done, it was like, all right, we're going to just like close up and figure out what we're gonna do next. And I
Right.
went to close up my chair, like the metal folding chairs that we were using. And I guess I had my finger like still within the folding clasps.
Yeah.
So when I folded the
Just
chair
oh,
and
yeah.
didn't recognize that, I also folded my finger in it.
Oh.
Oof.
Yeah.
Nasty. Oh,
But
fuck.
so I was like on the ground like crying because that shit hurt. Everybody thought I was laughing for like 30 seconds because I was like
Fucking
holding my finger and
psycho just
apparently
hurt
holding
himself.
the blood very well, and they thought I was just having this psychotic laughter. I'm like, no, I'm in pain. And then like my scout master comes over here. He's like, all right, what's going on? And then like I finally let go of my hand. There's just like blood coming out my finger, and he's
Oh,
like, oh
jeez.
shit. He had to rush me to the hospital. But everybody had thought that like I had somehow cut my finger on the AC vent that was directly behind me
Ooh.
just because like the edges were sharp, and that's what everybody thought I did. And
Mhm.
I just went with that for a while because the other thing of what really happened makes me sound like a huge dumbass. The the other funny thing about that day too is when I got sent to the hospital, my
Right.
dad was also in the hospital at the time. 'Cause
What?
What?
well, he
Same
had
with it?
diverticulitis, which is basically like
Oh,
certain
shit.
foods don't work with like
Your
your
bowels, right?
intestine,
Yeah.
yeah, your bowels and your intestines, and it's actually like a really bad thing. Like if you actually do end up like not getting it taken care of, you're gonna fucking die, or
Right.
if you like eat
God.
the wrong thing. Um, so he was in the hospital for the second time for that, and
Oh,
he finally like just got out of surgery. He's off a bunch of meds, and then he gets told he apparently got told in his room. He's like, "Hey, your son's here." He's like, "Can I see him?" And
Oh.
the nurse is like, "No, he's being treated right now." And he's like,
He's like, oh, what?
He's like damn near had a fucking panic attack in his hospital room just because like
Jeez.
I
Why
was
would they go
also in the
tell
hospital
him?
now.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
would
by
they
the
go
way.
tell him, "Hey, your son's in the hospital, but you can't see him"?
By the way, your son's
People
down
in
the
this
hall.
Why
town
not
are
wait
fucking
until after
stupid,
you're
all right?
okay?
Okay, by the way, your son's down
People
the
in this
hall.
town are dumb.
Oh, okay, you can send him in. Oh no, he's admitted. He hurt himself.
He's admitted.
He's currently
Anytime
having
I hear admitted, I just think something psychosis.
Me too. It was too early in my life for the psychosis thing.
Right.
yeah.
No, but fingers though. How many fingers have y'all? I broke a.
Oh my!
I've
I
never
didn't
broken a
even.
finger.
Yeah, I've never broke. I didn't break it. It never even broke. Like it just created a very big, deep gash in my finger, and like had to get stitched up and shit.
Mm.
Like
Yep.
if it broke my bone, I don't think there would have been like I don't think there would have been a question if everybody was like, "Oh, he's laughing." It's like, no, I'm screaming
Yeah.
now.
Screaming.
I have luckily never broken a. Actually, no, that's not. That's technically. Well, does a nose count as a bone or not?
No,
Because
Nose
that's
has a bone.
cartilage. Because
Cartilage.
that's cartilage.
You can
Yeah,
break your
no.
nose bone.
Yeah, I've broken my nose before, but like as far as actual bones, I've never broken anything.
No fractures, no nothing.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure I've had some pretty good hairline fractures and stuff in my bones a lot.
Mm.
I've probably
That's a
bruised my
no-brainer.
bones a fuck ton, but I haven't like gone to get them taken care of.
Right.
Oh, I've gotten so many
But
bruised
like, what are
bones.
you supposed to
I don't
do
think
when
I've
you
actually
bruise a bone? It's
broken
just like,
something like fractured it, but I think once or twice I've definitely messed it up. Actually, just recently, I was like at work. Like this was literally just yesterday. Some dude just pushed a. I was helping him load up a TV onto his cart, and the carts are like big hunks of metal, big heavy box. He just shoved that thing straight onto there while I'm still kind of pulling it in, and crushed my pinky on there. I break so many, like not like nails, but like the bone underneath, like the tip of your nail. I break that like so many times at work. Like I still have like a little black spot kind of going on around the tip of my pinky there
Oh.
all the time.
mm.
Never actually broken it, like not like fractured it, but just definitely got it bruised. Like bruised bones on my hands all the time. My knees too. I can't stop getting bruises. I don't even know where some of them come from.
Yeah, when I broke my thumb, I broke it on 13.
Ooh. Not on Crema E.
Yeah. So I wasn't
25.
third grade. That's way.
25.
That's not right. How old do you start? I don't know what third grade is. I was in third grade.
I think it was about an 8 or 9.
That
Yeah,
sounds
around like 8.
okay. That sounds about right. I was just kind of fucking around in our living room, and I had like planted my hand on the ground. I like tried kicking my feet. My elbow like caved, so I landed
Ooh.
straight down on my hand, and I heard a loud click,
Ah.
and I was like,
Oh.
"Holy!" And I just started screaming. I just couldn't like it was the worst pain I've ever felt at that time in my life, and I was just sitting there screaming. And my mom
Pinched
was
a
like,
nerve.
"Oh, what'd you do?" And I'm like, "My thumb. I broke my thumb." And I said like 3 times. Like, okay, well, we have church to get to because Christmas Eve. So
Fuck.
I sat through 3 hours of mass on Christmas Eve, holding up candles and stuff, where you transfer the candles and
Yeah.
that kumbaya crap. Which okay,
Kumbaya
I'm sorry, I'm saying
night.
kumbaya crap because I'm tired. I was so upset. My thumb was swollen like a fucking. Oh my god, it was so fucking swollen. It was stuck in a thumbs up position, and I had to like hold these candles with my left hand because you had like hold like you had to transfer it to like the next
Yeah.
person. So I'm like holding this candle with my thumb just, and we're finally done. And I kept showing my mom. She's like, "Oh, you like holy!" It was like grapefruit. And so I'm like holding up my thumb, and we finally get to the hospital. The doctor like looked in, after an X-ray. He's like, "Yeah, you fractured it." And I looked at my mom like, "I told you." I'm like, "Why did you make me sit through 3 hours of church with a broken
Jeez.
thumb?" Turns out it was just barely away from my growth bone.
Ooh,
And
no.
so
Oh,
at that age, if you break a growth bone, there are a couple things that can happen. Either your thumb or like any finger or any bone will grow in a
Right.
deformed manner because you still have a
Yeah.
lot of years. Or it just won't grow anymore, and you'll have that
Yeah,
size of a
just
finger
stunted.
for the rest
Maybe
of your
that's what
life.
happened to Megan Fox's thumbs.
Oh God. Broke them both when she was 3.
Oh,
No, yeah. So I'm lucky I didn't have that, but turns out from that point on, I had continuous issues. I was a catcher,
Right.
baseball. So as I got older, the pitches
Oh,
got faster and faster, and I would catch with
oh,
my left hand. And no
Uh,
matter how much of a padded mitt you have, hard
oh yeah, the shit
baseball,
can
dude, it
snap.
a
will
hard
not
baseball
stop
to the
me.
same spot over and over and over, on a previously injured thumb, I almost refractured it on 2 different occasions. In the middle of a game, I took a fastball right into my thumb, and I threw my glove down. I was just in pure pain. They had to rush me to like the clinic nearby that it was not
Right.
refractured. It was
Mhm.
though that pain haunts me.
Dude, I've done catcher quite a few times, and I don't even have broken hands or thumbs or anything like that, and that stuff still just hurts.
Yeah. Fastballs can just that shit'll hurt you.
Mhm.
So you played catcher. How many foul balls did you face? And you ever take any?
Oh, oh. Most of the time, if it was a foul, I mean, my whole family's been good at baseball. I was basically raised on baseball, so I knew how to catch it. But if it was like out of reach or out of range, I wasn't the fastest kid.
No,
So
no.
when crouching down on
You
the
you
mark,
you
if it
can
was out of me, it was like no problem. But if it was like going downwards, I could only reach like towards my knees. So if it was hitting the bottom of the home base and then bouncing back up, oh, I got hit in the knees so many times.
No, I was talking about like
I'm
when
just
when the
thankful they have
when
like
the
little knee
batter
guards.
foul tips it into you.
yeah.
Oh, like hit me with the bat?
No, no, when the batter
No,
swings at
no.
the ball and it foul tips the ball into you. So it changes
Yeah.
direction rapidly.
Oh,
It hits you so
Yeah.
I thankfully have never had that happen.
I had I fucking shit you not. Okay, so I was the worst with having a cup. And they always require you have a cup when you're in like little league and
Well,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I
They have
was
you you need to have a cup no matter what.
no, no, I know. And
Dude,
they
they
yeah.
and I
saved me
always
so many times.
I always lost it. So I was like I would like I would get there and they'd be like cup check and I would like knock the inside of my thigh to pretend I had it and then all right, good. And I'm the catcher, so I should really have a cup. Um but
Oh,
I was catching
buddy,
okay,
all I'm saying is catchers like, when I said it hits my knees, it hits there a lot too.
no, no, no. So I thank God I never had any of that issue happen. But
Mhm.
I was terrified because one at bat, one motherfucker, the most consistent horrible batter I've ever seen. But he was good at foul tipping. But it was always into my inner thigh. So if you've ever like had okay, Andrew,
Ooh,
if he's a catcher, has known the places that are padded. You have a chest pad, you have a mask, you have your padded glove, and you have your knee pads that go like your
Yep.
shin guards. That's the
yeah.
only parts you have because it's the most forward facing stuff when you're crouched down. But
It's
your
literally just your chest, your mitts, and knee guards that have, like, the little brace behind it for, like, supporting your thigh.
Yeah.
I don't actually
That's about
we
it.
never had the pads
Oh,
that
okay,
was
well, then I had luxury.
yeah well no because they slow you down. So the problem was you don't have any thigh coverage, inner thigh, upper thigh, anything like that.
Nope,
This
that
motherfucker,
was for the mitt.
this
That was for
motherfucker,
the mitt.
this motherfucker foul tipped 3 foul balls into my inner right thigh in the
Oh
same
god.
spot.
Ooh,
Okay,
Black and blue.
if you've ever okay again, and Joe, I'm gonna refer to you. The relationship between umpire and catcher is typically amazing because you'll banter with your umpire like the entire game. Or I would. A lot of catchers will literally talk with your umpire. You're like, yo, so why wasn't that a strike, my guy? Oh, come on, give me a strike next time, and you just kind of mess with each other. They'll give you a strike next time he throws it over the plate, like that kind of stuff. You kind of mess with each other.
Yeah.
Um, and he put like did like the longest timeout the moment he realized that he saw it hit me again in the leg. I was pacing. I was so mad. I kept looking at this guy, giving like shooting him daggers, like stop
oh,
foul balling it into my fucking leg. Because I got home and I had like 3 massive bruise spots and like an inch away from
mhm.
each other on my thigh. So upset that entire game. It
Oh, yeah,
hurt
when I
to.
say I've had bruised bones before, that's also some of them.
It was a pain, actual
Mhm.
pain. But
Majority of my baseball experience, though, was unfortunately the outfield because I had the strongest throwing arm.
yeah, that's what I did. It was either catcher or outfield
Yep.
because I had a gun and I could either throw
Mhm.
people out that were stealing at second, or I could throw it all the way home from outfield and hopefully get 'em.
Oh, yeah, I messed with a lot of really cocky people. That was the reason why some of our teams I was part of, we got near the state finals because it was these cocky guys just hit the balls. They don't go over the fence, but they go straight at it, and I was able to just boom to home, and they're not even looking. They think they made a home run, so they're just booking it around. They're not doing anything. They're not paying attention. They don't even realize the ball just flew past them and landed right in front of them. Their catcher's like, "Come here, big boy." And it's like, "No, no, no." Yeah.
But
I threw that ball just as fast as it came back from the bat to the fence. It goes from the fence to the home. But yeah.
pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I was gonna ask, what's your guys' most recent like full scar that you've gotten? Like scars, like
I
something
actually don't
nasty.
know.
Like what's the
Ice
It's
recent
scar
been a
easily,
while.
unfortunately.
Mhm.
Like so like I said, I have a really high pain tolerance. I don't it doesn't really bother me that much. Especially recently. A lot of the time I'll like get cuts or something and not notice until I'm like, oh hey, there's blood on my hand or something like that, right? One of the most recent things is I was closing Emily's car door when we left. When we were like going to somewhere, then we went to the store or something, and the metal trim right on her window for the car door is a little bit jagged. So I closed it and sliced my finger open. And I didn't
Ooh.
notice until we were in the store and I was like pressing on my finger. I was like, why is it kind of itch? And then I looked and there was blood all over. I was like, well, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that was a scar on my finger because of it.
Oh,
Nice.
Are you
um,
scarred from that?
I scar from a lot of things. I don't know
Oh my
why.
gosh. I must have like a really high like scarring tolerance because literally just the other day, like I was actually just about to check and see it's still there. I have like this giant cut
Hmm.
right on my leg right there, even if you can see it. I got that the other day at work while I was just outside working, and one of the guys out there was just like, "Dude, your whole leg is bleeding." And I'm like, "What?" And I look down there, and it's just this deep line just
Hmm.
oozing everything down, just drip, drip, drip. And I was like, "What? What? Where? How did I even get this? I didn't even feel it. I don't even really know where I got it. I just like I was saying, I
Just
do. I
have
get
it.
cuts and bruises all the time, and I
Right.
have no idea where they even came from. Like I've gotten jabbed in like places just all over the place. I don't know where they come from, but I don't get scarred. Well, actually, the only scars I had was that one on my knee from when I was a kid, which I just recently found, and it's like really tiny. And another one that's actually, oh, which hand was it? Is it? Okay, yeah, no, it's this hand right here. There's like a little gash right in my
Hmm.
tip of my finger right here, because as I was with my ex Mariah, I was opening and closing the door for her, and she got out of the car, and what she'll usually do is like she'll grab her stuff, hop out of the car, and close the door and go. Well, I was trying to be nice and hold the door open, and as she got out of her stuff, she got her things. I leaned in to grab my phone off of
Right.
the dash. And as I leaned in and grabbed my phone, and on the halfway of the way out, she was going to close the door, but my hand
Oh.
was still placed like on that door frame angle. So the
Ew.
second she slammed that thing shut, my finger was still inside the door, and
uh,
it goes click. And I dropped, but my hand was still sitting up here like this, just just hanging up there, just like
Why
stop,
would you do this?
hmm,
stop, open the door. Yeah, and I had a nice. It was like a pressured cut, so it was pretty deep. It felt pretty deep. Like you could see a good, like maybe half a centimeter at the angle, like looking at it like this. It was like
Hmm.
half a centimeter line going straight down. Not a
scar
good.
is kind of pathetic.
Mm.
Just a giant scar. Like you can't really see it. Right hand.
Right.
Um,
Okay,
but
please.
in my dorm, we were having this challenge where there was like $100 gift card. I
Hmm.
was like kind of big brain everything. Grannies had these bulletin boards where all the things happen. Like it was like that regular kind of cork board with where they put like a giant thing of color. So I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, maybe they hid it behind the paper or some cork board. I'm running my hand backwards on it, like
Oh,
I'm doing a pat down kind of thing.
I hate
Somebody,
paper cuts.
and no, it wasn't a paper cut. I was going up and
Oh, it
down.
wasn't?
I was
Oh.
going up and down this board looking for like any kind of bump or cushion,
Oh.
and there was somebody had pulled out a staple at some but left one of the halves in it. So it was just a
Oh,
jagged.
I hate that.
It was a half
Why do people do
jagged
that?
staple that was left in the cork board, and it was sticking straight out. I'm wiping my hand backwards up on down this thing
Yeah.
like I'm patting it down, and all of a sudden,
Oh,
I just
oh,
I just feel this really sharp, like, slicing pain, and I look down, and my hand was just wide open with this nice little cut that went down my side of my hand. I'm like, "Oh." I found the screw that I had cut my hand on. It was just not the screw, the staple that was like
a
somebody was.
little like sharp. It's like kind of curled off, like they snapped it
Yep,
off, but
yeah,
it's nice and like just
Yeah.
broken metal,
yep,
just nice little ink. Why do people just leave
yeah.
that there?
Because they don't realize people are gonna wipe it with their hand because it's not normal. I was looking for this gift card. I found it eventually. It was under some dirty mat by the ice machine. Because like the hint was that it was between the two buildings, and there was like a
Right.
tunnel that would go between them, and that's where the ice machine. So everyone had like looked up and down this hall. So I was like, oh, okay, if no one's found it yet, it's there. But then I'm like, okay, I feel like it's gonna be there because like they're not really smart with these. It's gonna be between the two buildings down there. So I went down there,
Right.
Mhm.
and I was with my roommate, and I'm like, this ice machine, there's this dirty ass, crusty like black mat on the ground. And I looked at him dead in the eyes. What are the chances that these pretentious college students are going to pick up this dirty ass mat and look under? Like,
Right.
not that high. And I'm like, grab a corner. He's like, I don't want to touch him. Like, grab the fucking corner. And I both grabbed the corner of the mat, lifted it up, and there. He's like, oh my god, how did you know? I'm like, I feel like no one would have looked under because it's too gross. Everyone
Right.
probably looked around the ice machine. No one because like it was these two college chicks that hid the thing, so no one would probably expect them to lift a dirty, gross mat to place it under.
Right.
I did. Fucking, I was like $100. I'm got it. It's on my
It's
yeah
still in your wall.
yeah. And I was walking around with a bloody hand while looking.
Jeez.
So that was great.
Nice.
Before we move on, anyone else has any story? We're gonna have the second trivia. We're hitting it on the trivia. So next trivia going.
Mm-hmm.
So, which celebrity fractured their skull on a TV? So that they,
Oh,
due to something they did on a TV show,
I
they
think I know
fractured their
this.
skull. One,
Mm-hmm.
David Blaine. Two, Tony Hawk. Three,
Steve-O.
All of them. Crap.
Wasn't it David Blaine?
so we have David Blaine, or Steve-O from the.
I'm actually thinking Tony Hawk. I feel like I've seen that before.
Are we actually going for another full spread?
Looks
Maybe.
like it.
So
I
we
guess
got.
so.
So Felix saying David, Andrew saying Tony, and Davis saying Steve.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer, on an episode of Wild Boys, Tony Hawk
Oh.
attempted a loop ramp on a skateboard in
Oh.
which he landed harshly on his head, fracturing his skull.
I swear, I think the reason I know that is because I saw that. I literally saw that happen on an.
Yeah, Tony Hawk tried to do the whole loop-de-loop ramp, if y'all remember that,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
he
I
lost
remember
momentum
that.
halfway, landed straight
I
on
remember that was
his
a huge
head, and
thing.
just fractured his.
Mm-hmm.
Tony
Damn.
I
Hawk,
remember that.
or sorry, David Blaine has had multiple injuries, and
Yeah, that's
Steve-O has fractured his skull on multiple occasions. However, he had not done it on a TV. Actually, partying in the '90s, jumped off a couple
of
balconies
course.
because he thought he was invincible. Jump off balconies, how cool he
Fucking
was.
what do you mean?
And he
Steve-O is
landed,
invincible.
and he landed on his head and fractured his
Yeah.
skull multiple times. That's just Steve.
Fractured his skull multiple times. He thinks he's invincible. That motherfucker's invincible as hell. What are you talking about?
He's
I
got.
mean, if he jumps off a balcony and lands on his head and only fractures his skull,
I mean, he broke his. He
sure.
broke. I think what I read was he broke his like wrist, fractured his arm, and fucking fractured his skull. Which is a pretty bad fucking end.
No, it's
Right.
pretty bad, pretty messed up, but it's still. I mean, there's people that maybe tripped and fell and they just broke their neck.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
Steve
jumping
was
off of
broken
a
his neck
balcony
before.
and only fracturing a little bit is like that's
Steve
not
has
bad.
talked about breaking his. Done that
Mhm.
multiple times.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Dude's a fucking mystery.
The dude's been in every like horrific thing. Oh, we got-
Uh-oh. I think his
Let's-
camera died.
Nope. No, we didn't.
but no, yeah, dude's like done everything. He's been on what Wild Boys. He's been Jackass. I mean, Wild Boys was literally what created Jack. Like
Yeah.
Wild Boys was like the whole like, oh, we're gonna do all this
No,
crazy stuff.
Wild Boys was the Tony Hawk thing.
No, I know, but I'm pretty sure Wild Boys was Evo's thing.
No,
Huh?
No, Jackass was created by them when they were all just friends making stupid videos. Like, one of the first things they did was someone hopped into a
No, Wild
shopping
Boys was
cart.
Steve-O. Yeah,
Uh,
Wild Boys was Steve-O
right, that
and
didn't start.
Chris Pontius. Yeah, they
That didn't start Jackass though.
no, Wild Boys was like their build up to Jackass. That's when they would do all the stupid crazy stunts they would do.
Oh,
And then eventually they like, oh, we should make a movie out of this. And they continue to do Wild Boys or Wild Boys separately, but Jackass is kind
pretty
of
sure they started to call it Jackass before the show started though, because they would they have clips of them saying like, "My name's blah blah and welcome to Jackass." Like one of the famous ones is them getting a shopping cart on. I'm pretty sure if I remember this correctly, it's them getting a shopping cart. They stole it, brought it on top of one of their houses, and rolled themselves off the top of the roof of the house with it.
Oh yeah,
And then
that's
there
the
was something
infamous
else
one.
with it.
That one's
I'm
practically
pretty
infamous.
sure. Unless I'm fucking crazy, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was the whole point was that it was like Wild Boys was like either Wild Boys was a spin-off of Jackass or it was created Jack.
Precursor to it. I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it was one or
No,
the
that's kind
other.
of what-
Yeah, no, Wild Boys was a fucking shit show. So they bring a lot of celebrities on, kind of would do with Jackass and have them do all the
Mhm.
crazy shit. That's what happened with
Yeah.
Tony. Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna notice the stream lost my camera for some reason.
um, anyone have any like spinal injury?
No spine.
No.
Well, no spinal injuries. I wanted to talk about that time I broke my foot here in a second, but if you're talking about back injuries, that's the entire reason I got kicked out of the Navy.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
I remember you said that. Go into depth of what happened, or
It wasn't anything crazy. Like, so, as you and I have talked about before, through high school, I've done a lot of work, and one of the things that I would do in the summers was landscaping and curbing and stuff like that. So I was doing some landscaping for, I think it was my uncle's new aunt because he'd just gotten married to this lady. And her aunt needed some landscape work done, so I was doing that, and it was by myself. I had started at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was done at like I think 8 in the evening. It was only for like $200. Who the fuck would do that? um, but I was doing a whole bunch of shit, making like just plotting out these areas for her to have like new gardens and stuff like that, just all throughout her yard. And during it, I was carrying bags of sod to pour into it, and it was just me, so I would grab like 2 bags on my shoulders and just walk it out, and I tweaked the shit out of my back, and so I was kind of like out of commission and couldn't do a whole lot for I think like 4 weeks or so. And but then I was fine after that, but I never went back to the doctor to be like, hey, so I'm good now, can we do a quick physical checkup? So you're like, hey, yeah, you're good. I never went and did that. So when I got to the Navy while I was in RTC, I got called down to there are 2 medical ships. I can't remember the first one, but the one I got called down to at first and then multiple times after was called Red Rover. And so Red Rover is where they do a lot of counseling and stuff like that for like if you're doing something you're not supposed to. Well, in RTC, that's where you'll talk to psychologists and stuff or anything like that. They called me down. They're like, hey, we just found this in your medical documents because they have access to. Not too long ago, there was a thing where you have to sign a HIPAA release form, so they have access to all your medical documents now, and they're looking through them, and they're like, "Hey, we just found this, and like, there's never a checkup on it, so your back's still hurt, isn't it?" I was like, "No, it's not, I promise." And they're like, "Okay, well, we don't have any proof of that, and we are not going to do a physical examination on you, so we're gonna send you to this unit instead." So they had these things called SEP units or separation units, and you'd sit in either Alpha or Bravo. And if you were in Bravo, that was basically like, okay, cool. So you'd go talk to legal teams that were like they were naval legal teams and stuff like that, and they'd be like, so you can either choose to fight the case to try and stay in the Navy, or we can just send you on your way. And I wanted to stay in, so I was there for like an extra month at RTC, waiting basically for them to be like, yeah, you can either continue to go through basic training and finish up and everything like that, or yeah, no, we're sending you home. And so I watched as my unit that I was in, it was a 900 unit. I can't remember the actual name, but the actual number, but it was a 900 unit. They went through everything. I watched them go through fire drills because we'd be going back and forth from the mess hall and everything, and I'd see them going to get ready for fire drills and stuff like that, shooting range and everything like that. And I was just watching my unit grow basically. And then they graduated while I was still waiting to see if I was being let out or not. And then obviously, lo and behold, they were like, "All right, here are the people." They called us on. We were sitting or we were standing at attention, waiting at the tow line, and they're like, "All right, here are the recruits who are going to Alpha Unit," which is basically, yeah, you're going to fuck home if you get to Alpha. And then my name was called, and I think a week later after that, they're like, "Cool, so here's a bus ticket. It's a 27-hour drive from here all the way to Montana. We can't get you a plane ticket, so you're taking the bus." And so I slept on the bus and had like 4 different city stops on the way to Montana, and then I finally made it back here.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It sucks too because so while you're in basic, you can either head to basic as an E3 instead of an E1, because you can either start as an E1, E2, or E3 based on your scores or stuff that you did before heading to that if they had like written permission or anything like that. I was an E3. So it wasn't gonna take me long to get to petty officer 3rd class. So that really sucked. Or that did really suck.
I've had a couple back injuries. I don't think on my
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
when I was 7 years old, I hyperextended my neck. I was grown with I was born with a misshapen dick. That was never
Mhm.
really a major. It never caused me issue, but I think it was accentuated. 7th birthday, I went to one of those bouncy like places. Like there's like all these bouncy slides.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like a
The
warehouse full
trampoline.
of bouncy stuff. Not even no, not trampoline, bouncy castle kind of style.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
giant slide and then like a obstacle course. It's all like that inflatable crap.
All the stuff that gives you those really gnarly burns.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I was sitting on the edge of one of the inflatable things, balancing carpet,
Right.
and my quote unquote friend at the time pushed me off, and
Ooh.
I landed flat legged on the ground, and my head basically touched my. I was not a very flexible,
Ooh,
so my back basically hyperextended forward, very massive
Ouch.
manner. And I was just stuck sitting in a beanbag chair crying while everyone else my birthday party was having fun.
Mm.
Like
That
my
sucks.
back hurt so bad. Fast forward a couple of years. In middle school, I was playing wall ball.
Oh yeah, I
mhm.
love wall
Oh, I
ball.
love
Yep.
wall ball.
Throw it at the
And then you have to
wall.
hit it with your hand.
No, like there's two different types of wall ball. There was
Oh,
like the one that's like a kickball, like kind of hit with your hand.
yeah.
Tennis ball one. What we did was we had a lot of baseball. Wall ball was like where like
Right.
you would throw the ball at the wall. Um, as far like you try and I think it was the rule was you had to always throw farther than the last guy.
Mhm.
You would keep throwing the ball at the wall, but if the ball at any point had hit the floor before it hit the wall, it had to touch the wall. Someone else threugh the wall. Um, so it got really bad eventually, went far away. Um,
Mhm.
and this is Washington. It always would rain. Like it was never
Mhm.
Washington. Everyone always says Washington rain. It doesn't rain a lot. It just rains like time wise. It doesn't pour rain. It just it'll rain for longer, but not as much as you would
Right.
expect, like a downpour. But
Like
so
kind of light rains just for long periods of time, kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always wet on the ground.
Well, when it rains, it rains. The
It,
forecast, it's raining.
yes, it does rain up quite a bit, but it's more of like a longevity versus like we don't have the most like funny thing. Washington State has a specific spot where we have the
Mhm.
most rain anywhere in the country. But that's look at like Washington. You see how we have like that weird like peninsula kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
on the because we have a mountain range that goes through the Olympic mountains. And on the opposite side of the Olympic mountains towards the ocean, literally on the edge of the ocean, that part we have like 13 feet of rain.
Oh damn.
not inches. We have 13 feet.
Jesus.
Like, but the mountains stop a lot of that. So when it comes over, it's only
Mhm.
so but it was like this kind of like like moss that kind of is like a thick or like a thin film of like just gooey shit. Like
Yeah.
when it rains, we kind of had that. It was like kind of like that lake moss you would have on like the rocks that
Oh
make
yeah,
it really slippery. But
I have that
it,
everywhere here, man.
it was at
Yeah.
our middle school, and I threw the ball. Oh, and when I hit the ground, fuck. So I had to run, and the moment I
Isn't that
ran,
algae, not moss?
it's like yeah, it's like a moss
Oh,
algae, whatever it is. I
it's
don't.
it's more like I think of it as like really slick algae when you're walking around like a wet rock at the beach.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but
I know exactly what you're
it
talking about
grows
here. I know where this
everywhere.
is
It
going.
grows
I know where
everywhere.
this is
You have
going.
to be very careful with where you're walking around. It will.
Oh,
It's literally like
geez.
ice. And I was running, and I
Mhm.
felt like a cartoon because I was running.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my feet were in front of me in the air,
Yep.
and I landed flat on my back, and I had bruised my tailbone,
Ooh.
horrifically bruised my tailbone,
Ooh.
and I was just
I
I
broke my butt.
couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't like do
Right.
any. I couldn't speak. My eyes were bug eyed, and I was just looking up, and someone was like, trying like, "Are you all right?" I'm like,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do anything, and they're like, "Holy shit, he's not okay." And they went and got like the person and like the outdoor person, and they called the nurse. And you know what this nurse brought? You
Here's
wanna
a bag of ice.
no. You wanna know what this nurse brought for me
What?
when I had a bruised tailbone? A fucking wheelchair. Which makes sense.
Oh.
Which makes sense. Okay, I get it. But I have a bruised tailbone, and I'm like, "Oh, it hurts. My lower back, it really bad hurts." And they sit me down. They're sitting me down in a chair. I have I'm obviously it's hard to walk, and there's not much you can
Mhm.
do. But when someone's got a bruised tailbone, that's literally their ass.
Yeah.
And you're sitting them in a chair where all of the pressure goes into their ass. And I was like trying to hold on to the edges, hover, and they're like, "No, relax, relax." And they would push me back down aggressively into the chair. I'm like, "This is not helping. Stop
Jesus.
touching me." And so I eventually told them what it was, and we lied me down like on the nurse's whatever. And they gave me
Mhm.
ice, and that was to the extent of it. I think I was like in the
No,
nurse's office until eventually
ice.
someone picked me up. But like it was
Right.
literally just the ice thing. Can't give you any medication, pain or anything. Stuck with ice.
Mhm.
Wasn't bad enough to go to like the hospital. Why would you bring like I was so upset.
Yeah.
Make me my back hurts so bad.
Yeah,
It was never a
dude.
permanent issue.
That
Tailbone.
moss,
A
dude.
tailbone
That
bruising sucks. I've
moss.
slid down cement stairs before, and it bruised my tailbone. That shit
Yeah.
hurts. I understand.
Oh yeah, I think I've got quite a few bruises there too. Oh yeah, but no, Ken, I know exactly what you mean. But with that kind of like slippery, mossy algae, just like that
Mhm.
cartoonish slip, and then you're gone kind of thing. I was it wasn't me, thankfully. But it was I was on a Friday night ride in my downtown Portland area, and there was a meetup where everybody meets up. Everybody have like electronic bikes, electronic scooters, one wheels, all that stuff. And if it's electric, it goes places and it goes about 20-ish miles per hour. It's usually a meetup right at this like science center. We meet up behind it, and we all as a whole crew we just go riding around the town, and we're out there until like 11:30 midnight, doing whatever.
Mhm.
um and one day it was like I think my very first time going to this place, and I'm kind of taking my time, and so I'm like nearing the back, and there's a few other one wheelers back there because everyone else is on electric bikes going 60, just 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, you know um but thankfully they didn't do it here. Managed to catch up with them, and I'm like wondering what's going on, and there was a big buildup, and apparently someone on one wheel, rode because we were riding by the lake, riding by the river area. So there's like the smooth concrete, it's like right in front of like some lakeside houses, and we're just kind of cruising around like this nice little platform right by the river. And well, just like in Oregon, as much as in Washington, I know this moss algae stuff you're talking about, like back of my hand. This dude, you can see this line in that algae because it just starts raining like that day, so it's nice and sunny now, but it was raining. So that algae is like real wet. You know what I mean? And you can see these little squiggle lines just swerve, 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 and then go off the path. Because it's
Oh
so
man.
bad. It's literally just looks like a cartoon. Because you just go on there and everything just goes right underneath you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bad. I can't even
Yeah.
describe it. Literally is ice.
It is. It's
Turns
black ice.
it turns any surface.
Yeah.
You literally
No, dude,
if
I can walk
you
on
get a
ice. You
board
really
on.
can't walk on that stuff. Y- Like barely. When it's wet, when the way it was raining all day. When it was wet the way it was, that thing was like basically like wet tissue paper.
We're hitting our 1 hour mark. Got any?
Mhm. Dave, you haven't said anything in a minute.
And
As of recent, no. I've been injury free for a moment. Just like I don't know, I guess
Mhm.
like every now and then, like I'll have some stupid shit happen where like I'll be picking up like a box of potatoes to throw on my pallet, and then like I'll drop it on my foot or something, or like
Right.
I'll accidentally bang uh, my elbow has been like a bitch recently because I think I accidentally banged it on the racks, which are made of metal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like bruised, but other than that, like I don't have any like I don't have any, like super scars or anything.
That's a
Actually,
good thing
no.
though.
The funny thing that I didn't mention about my thing from earlier when I like cut my shit from folding it in a chair.
Oh
It
yeah.
happened. It happened on my middle finger. So if anybody ever
Ooh.
asks if they want to see it,
Flip 'em up.
You just flip them
Of
off.
course, that's a
yeah,
Dave thing.
yes.
Oh, where'd you
And
hurt
on
yourself?
that,
Oh, right here.
So anyone else
yep.
have any hand injury
I have a
scars? Or,
lot of it takes some time to get into that. I don't think we have it at this point. Maybe we'll have to do like
Yeah.
an injury part 2 kind of a podcast thing at some point.
okay,
I got
Yeah.
a minor one.
before we end it, does anyone have scars in hand that you caused by punching?
Yeah, I used to be in MMA.
Yes, I do.
No, yeah, because I used to. People are like, okay, trigger warning.
You get pissed
Okay.
and you you
Yeah,
punch something.
people like hurt
Yep.
themselves. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
typical
Oh, I've
one
been through
goes.
that.
Yeah, my method was punching brick walls,
Mhm.
and I have
Mm.
my pointer finger took most of like damage. I have like 3 or 4 fist
Right.
punching a wall.
I have one that hasn't gone away since, and you can even still see it.
Men like to
Right on the tip of my finger knuckle right there.
men
Men
like
like to
to
do stupid things.
men like to hurt themselves in a way that's like aggressive, bad.
Yeah.
If like oh we
Yeah.
if like we ever get paid, oh well, let me break something real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
But
No head.
I have a lot of
yes, no
scars on my
head.
hands. I actually, from the MMA stuff, I have, and anybody else who has ever done, because I used to fight with my Muay Thai. For anybody else who has ever done any type of fighting where you kick a lot, I have these 2 long, 3 to 4 inch scars on both of my shins, and my shins are completely dead with the nerves. I have no feeling in my shins.
All right, well we'll test it out on the person podcast with the baseball bat, and we'll
Perfect.
see if he's got shin pain or not. And I'll go buy
That
a razor scooter and
Oh
Oh,
man, let's do it.
but
I'll
before
let
we
you
close
nosedive on my one wheel. Let's see what really happens.
up, let's all remember that next podcast we're going to be doing is actually going to be in person now that Ken has brought that up. Just
Yes.
like heads up for everybody
Will
else
it be?
that's watching.
Because that'll be
well,
on a Sunday.
yeah, Dave, you won't be there.
Yeah.
Will I? Fuck. I'll
Yeah,
be on a plane.
you
Yeah,
need
you
to
will.
move your. Can you move your flight time by like 6 hours
No.
or 5 hours
No, because he
or
has to
7
go to
hours?
work. Because it's like a 3 to 4 hour flight for him.
So land at 6, get home by like come on.
I
You're
don't
not
know,
gonna
but I
see
got a shit.
Apex. Apex isn't gonna be there until Sunday.
I can't. There's nothing that can be done about that. Like I've done what I can.
Well, then that's great. We're gonna keep up the Dave's persona of not being guest.
Up until he finally gets the camera and he's like, Watch, Dave's gonna get a camera and he's like, "Oh shit, I think this camera's broken." It's just gonna be this glitched image of him in a fucking balaclava and shit.
It's gonna be the next what's that guy's name? He just wears the mask every time he goes around, or even
Swagger
out in
Souls?
public nowadays. Yeah, Swagger
Mhm.
Souls.
Yeah.
Just
Speaking
gonna
of
be a solid
the
ski
trip,
mask.
by the way, I got this like a vlogging stick for the camera for the trip, and I just realized, so like it's got this like metal rod right here, and I've been
Absolute white
pushing up.
girl.
I was like, cool, so it like stays that long. This thing fucking is telescopic.
Yeah.
I just learned that during the podcast.
I mean, it looks pretty obvious.
I-
It's telescopic.
I thought that was like a beat stick or
A
something.
beat
It could be.
stick. God.
You watch out, Andrew.
Yikes. All right. Well, we're going to end it here. And you guys on the YouTube
Mhm.
extra trivia. And yeah, time by for episode 6. No pain, no gain of the Incompetent podcast. I'm competent. So thank you for stopping by.
You're one of them.
The next podcast in person. So without Dave, because Dave sucks. But we'll see you guys.
You suck.
I'm so glad that did not. I only got the butt end of Andrew
Oh,
face. Thank God.
sadness.
Thank God for transition.
Uh,
So welcome to the
No.
extra portion where we have one last question. And let's last and final trivia for no pain, no gain
Mhm.
is what is it called when a bone breaks into more than 2 pieces? Is it
Oh.
1, a segmental fracture, 2, a displaced fracture, or 3, a comminuted fracture?
Compound?
Spell it.
No,
Not compound.
comminuted. Comminuted.
Spell it.
COMMIN.
Compound is when it just sticks out the fucking skin.
That's true.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So is it
I
segmental,
actually
displaced, or comminuted?
okay.
Yeah.
2 of those sound like they would make
Displaced.
sense, and the other one is like
That one?
what?
Stop looking it up.
No. I typed it into chat.
I can't really look at that without. Yes.
I think
No,
it's pronounced
no,
community.
no. It's switch the I and the
Minuted.
that's like minuted. Minuted.
I'll look up how to pronounce it after the answer.
All right.
Um,
So,
I was-
what do we think?
I'm pretty sure that's a segmental fracture, isn't
Yep.
it? Like, it
It-
feels self-described.
It's either got to be segmental or comminuted, whatever that one is. Like displaced doesn't sound right.
Right.
That just sounds like someone
Segmented
was thinking of
fractures.
dislocated and was dumb.
Segmented fracture.
Yeah,
So y'all are going for segmental.
yeah.
What do you guys think? Put in the comments below. Learn the answer later. Twitter, because this guy over here. So yeah, we'll see what that answer is. Put it in the. Is
It's comminuted.
that how you spell it?
Like,
Or pronounce
yeah, I looked at the pronunciation, without actually getting an answer on what it is. So it's pronounced comminuted.
menu.
Right.
All right. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you guys. All right.
I'm sticking with segmented fracture, but I have a bad feeling that it's not going to be segmented fracture.
All right. Yep.